Very exciting announcements today at Apple's event. We finally got the iPhones and the HomePod Mini at $100. So if you were expecting anything else, I tried to warn you, just saying. So yeah, there's no Apple Silicon Max, there's no AirPods Studio, none of that. Definitely no 120 hertz. Somebody called that. But still, a lot of exciting changes brought to the iPhone lineup today, so let's begin. First of all, Apple has updated the entire lineup by removing the charge brick and the headphones, as we predicted. They talked about how this is a big win for the environment, and you want to complain about pricing and stuff. I get it too. But whatever, Apple packages are thinner now, and the iPhone SE, of course, is still $400, but iPhone XR is now $500, and they're even keeping the iPhone 11, which is $600. So if you want to get some of the older iPhones, they're really, really good deals now. But you may want to think about it a little harder, because the iPhone 12 and 12 mini, I think, here are the star of the show. A lot of features that used to be considered pro are now standard for the iPhone 12 lineup, and that includes 5G, which was talked about a lot during this event, and I really didn't care. But the interesting part I wasn't aware of is that millimeter wave 5G is available on all the iPhone 12s, in the US at least. I think it might be different overseas, but at least how I understood it during the event, every single wavelength of 5G that's available right now is available on the 12, the 12 mini, the 12 Pro, and the 12 Pro Max. They all get it. So there's no Pro 5G mode, which we thought was going to be the case for the longest time. And also Super Retina XDR displays. So yeah, I get it's a mouthful and it's all marketing, but still, a 2,000,000:1 contrast ratio, a peak brightness of 1200 nits on the cheaper iPhones now as well. That's no longer a Pro feature, though it does seem like the typical brightness for the Pros will be around 800 nits, whereas it's more like 650. I don't know if that makes a very noticeable difference, but I do know that I've had 1200 nits on my iPhone, and it's very, very easy to see and use outside. So now they're bringing that to the 12 and 12 mini. Of course, OLED displays, so those deeper blacks, and sadly the notch is pretty much, yeah, the same size as before. But somehow via software, they're making it work. You know, they're scrunching everything together there, and the prices I was predicting also ended up being correct. So $700 on the 12 mini, $800 on the iPhone 12. And yes, they do still start at 64 gigs, but they come in a series of colors. 128 gigs is an extra $50, and 256 another 100 on top of that. And bizarrely, if you try to buy them unlocked, it's an extra $30, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure if that's new as of today or if it's been a thing for a while. But the other cool thing that they brought to the standard lineup now is insanely good water resistance and improved durability with ceramic shield glass. So Apple made some very bold claims. I know what you're all thinking, jerry-rig everything, right? He's gonna put these to the test, but I think they kind of have to, because Apple was saying 4 times better results in drops. So I don't know about you guys, but I saw that as kind of a substantial improvement. If you're saying 4 times better shatter resistant or durability wise, again, just like last year, they're saying this is the toughest glass in a smartphone, which I somewhat believe them. May not do exactly well on the scratch test, but that's not really how people use their phones anyway. So on both the 12 Pro and the iPhone 12 and 12 mini, you get IP68 water resistance for 6 meters up to 30 minutes. So that's quite a deep distance. That's like bottom of the pool type resistance, and that's a whole 2 meters larger than the 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max of last year, which were the most water resistant flagship phones on the market. So these, even the cheaper ones, are getting more water resistant, and of course 12 and 12 mini are built of that squared off aluminum. They're much smaller than the iPhone XR and iPhone 11, despite still having that same 6.1 inch display, and a lot of the techie nerds out there would appreciate this. All the iPhone 12s are 1080p or higher. The iPhone 12 mini, bizarrely enough, has the highest pixel density and still has a base resolution of 1080p, despite being a tiny 5.4 inch screen. So no more complaints about 720p LCD panels anymore, because all these iPhones got OLED, all of them got 1080p or higher, and all of them have over 450 pixels per inch, which is awesome. So they should be great screens. The battery life of the 12 mini is the one thing you might be a little bit worried about compared to prior years. They didn't talk much about it, but looking on the compare page, it appears that the 12 mini is just a slight bit worse than the 10R, which a lot of people said the 10R battery life was good. So it's not going to be like as bad as the iPhone SE necessarily. I think with the A14 chip and all, you'll still be able to get through the day, no problem, but definitely not as good as the last few years. So that's why it's considered mini, but the regular iPhone 12 should be the same. Though playing around with the compare page, it sounds like the iPhone 12 Pro, at least when it comes to video playback, might have a slightly worse battery life than the 11 Pro. However, the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 11 Pro Max are matched at the same, so should be same battery life as before, despite likely the smaller batteries, given Apple talked about how these new iPhones this year are thinner, smaller, or at least with the Pro iPhone lineup, they match the same form factor with that stainless steel design, just with more screens. So 6.1 inch and 6.7 inch now. No 120 hertz. You should have believed me when I said so. But there's lots of differences between the lineup when it comes to cameras. So yeah, there's lots of things they rock standard now, like the ceramic shield glass. The A14 chip is standard. The same 5G millimeter wave bands are standard. The Super Retina 2,000,000:1 contrast ratio, the 1200 nits, all of that is standard across the lineup. Sounds like the main differentiating factors now are the form factors. So obviously 12 mini at 5.4 inches and 12 Pro Max at 6.7 inches. But aside from that, it should also be the cameras. So Apple has improved low light sensors on the regular 12 and 12 mini. These have a f1.6 aperture, which is improving on low light, and night mode now works with the ultra wide lens as well as the regular lens, as well as support for Dolby video recording. So on the Pro series, they talked a lot about HDR filming, which means great dynamic range that of course you can see on the HDR or XDR displays, and you can shoot at that 10-bit HDR format at up to 4K at 60. So I don't see any reports on 4K supporting 120 or 240 FPS, so I guess that leak was bust. But the HDR stuff does look really, really cool, especially considering you can actually do that on a phone, which there's not a lot of phones out there supporting that right now, and Apple's very proud of a lot of exclusives they have with the iPhone this year. Like, this is the smallest millimeter wave 5G phone, and this is the only phone capable of recording 4K at 60 10-bit HDR colors. So if you care about the dynamic range stuff, this is a big deal. And the 12 Pro Max actually got a few exclusive camera features over the regular 12 Pro. So you actually get to punch in 2.5x on the telephoto lens this time, though it seems like it actually comes at a cost with the aperture, because on the 12 Pro Max it says focal length 2.2, whereas the telephoto lens, which is the standard 2x lens on the regular 12 Pro, that has a focal length of 2.0. So maybe through AI enhancement and maybe the ultra-wide lens collecting more light, because the 12 Pro Max has a larger camera sensor, also has optical image stabilization on that ultra-wide lens. Maybe it doesn't matter that the apertures are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, 12 Pro Max can zoom in a bit better than the 12 Pro. Both cameras are good, and the 12 Pro and Pro Max both rock LiDAR, which sadly there's not a whole lot of photography and video benefits here. I mean, they did mention that in the dark you should be able to take portrait mode shots a lot better now, and autofocus is like 6 times faster in low light situations, because typically, you know, your camera is searching through pixels. Now that they have LiDAR, they can automatically detect where to focus on, and they demonstrated some third-party apps maybe taking advantage of LiDAR, but sorry to those of you who are expecting portrait mode video or that kind of thing. It seems fairly possible that a third party could optimize for the LiDAR sensor, but it seems like built into the camera app there isn't really going to be a portrait mode video of any kind, though they did talk about night mode time lapses, which do look pretty cool, and they showcase some really impressive footage shot with the iPhone in low light situations with time lapses and low light situations, and I'm mainly just excited for night mode on all the lenses instead of just one. That was very much appreciated. And optical image stabilization on the ultra wide lens is also something I really wanted, and the fact that it's a larger sensor should mean it's a lot more crisp, and we should avoid that softer detail look that the 11 Pro Max gave. Now with the 12 Pro Max, those ultra wide shots will also be super duper crisp and better at low light. The other exciting thing that was standard with the entire iPhone lineup was the Magsafe chargers. So Kang, he got a lot right. I apologize for misinterpreting his telephoto lens leaks. He meant 4x and 5x optical zoom, which is technically true because you're zooming in from the ultra wide, so it's the same way Samsung says they have 100x, but it's really 100 from the ultra wide, not the standard. So I interpreted that wrong, but Kang got everything right today pretty much, except for maybe a few things on the pre-order times, which turns out there's only 2 pre-order dates. So on Friday at 5 a.m. Pacific, you'll be able to order the 12 and 12 mini and the new MagSafe accessories, and then on November 6th, you can order the 12 mini and 12 Pro Max, which will deliver a week after that. But yeah, these MagSafe things look pretty cool. You can magnetically dock these Apple Watch looking chargers to the back of all the new iPhones, so 12 mini, 12, 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, they all get it, and it charges up to 15 watts wirelessly. So if you were fast charging your iPhone before with the 18 watt charge brick, these MagSafe accessories are about as fast. They're a little bit slower, but they're very easy to plug into. The iPhone locks itself in place on the charger, and they announced all these cool accessories, as well as the fact that cases now attach very differently because you don't have to snap them on to the sides anymore. Instead, magnetically, they just hug the back of the iPhone, which should mean changing out accessories and that kind of thing is a lot easier. And they showcased this MagSafe Duo accessory, which I thought was cool. So you can charge the watch on one side, charge your phone on the other, both magnetically, and then when you're done, you can fold them up and take them with you. Though they did not tell us when the MagSafe Duo charger is coming. This is starting to feel like AirPower all over again. We also don't know how much it costs, though we do know that the standard MagSafe charge puck, not any Duo or anything, just the regular charger with USB-C on the other end, that's $40. So it's a little bit steep, but if you consider it's a fast wireless charger and it integrates with the phone magnetically, and it also works with older iPhones. So even if you have an iPhone 10 or iPhone 8, you can still wirelessly charge with the MagSafe puck. You just can't use the magnets because there's no magnets in these older iPhones. So you can charge AirPods and all that kind of stuff with that charger, but I'm very interested to see how they work and how snug the phones sit on their charger. And thankfully, Apple is opening this up to third parties for others to use. So I think that we're going to see lots of ease of wireless charging in the future, but I really hope they don't wait for 3 years to release MagSafe Duo and then end up canceling it. Apple and multifunctional wireless chargers. I know, they're so complicated. But either way, the MagSafe Duo thing looks awesome. It's probably really expensive, but I want one. The 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max also ship with 128 gigs of storage standard, so that leak was correct, but they're the same prices as before. Still $1,000 and $1,100, and it's only $100 extra to double that to 256 gig if you like. The colors also have a gold that pops a bit more, and the graphite looks pretty interesting, and I'm really not sure which color I want, so I'll probably run a Twitter poll later and you guys can vote. Whichever ends up winning the poll, I will just get that color option. And HomePod Mini I also think is going to do really well. I mean, it's cute, it's small, it's so compact and little, and it's only $100, and it probably sounds pretty good. Obviously, I haven't heard it, but you can pair them as a stereo if you want to. That little Siri animation on top looks dope. And if you had a problem with the last generation HomePod not supporting Bluetooth or Spotify, you'll have those same problems with the HomePod Mini. It's just now you have a lot more affordable option to go with. So I could see a lot of people picking up a HomePod Mini. I think it's going to be somewhat popular, especially compared to the last HomePod, but I also think the 12 Mini is going to sell a lot better than people think. Most are predicting that the 6.1-inch iPhone 12 is going to be the best seller because it's a decent size and you get all the great features in one package, but I think the 12 Mini is going to bring out a huge demographic of people that prefer and like smaller phones, and they can save $100 and get all the same features the regular 12 has. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say 12 Mini is going to outsell everyone. I could be wrong there, I know, but I don't have a reputation to uphold at this point. I don't care if I'm wrong. So yeah, we still didn't get a date for the iPad Air 4. We don't know when that is shipping, and surprisingly, very little talk about Apple Fitness Plus and Apple One. I really thought that was going to take up more of this event. But no, this event was very, very 5G oriented. It was like every 5 minutes they had to mention 5G, now it has 5G and it can do this and 5G can do that. And I'm so sick of the 5G talk. But I will admit it's cool that they got millimeter wave to all 4 models. I didn't see them doing that. And for $700 and $800, I think that, yeah, they are probably a bit more expensive than prior years, but for what you're getting, I would say it's a much better value than prior years. Getting a lot of pro features at that sub $1,000 price market, I think is going to bring a lot of people out to upgrade. They're going to love the new design and they're going to love the new features like the MagSafe charger, OLED displays coming to the masses now. But I'm sure lots of you were very disappointed by either no 120 hertz or no smaller notch. Please feel free, let me know. What are you all disappointed on? Because Apple turns off their comment section, but I don't. Feel free to let me know. This is your Help Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.